Hey everybody, welcome back to Decode Tech. Last week we talked about how electricity is the driving force of computers and our cell phones, and how they use the binary numbering system to map bits and bytes to represent all different kinds of data on our cell phones and computers. Well, today we're going to talk about two things that are crucial in manipulating these bits and bytes. The one is your computer's hardware and the other one is software. But as the title of this video suggests, today's video is all about hardware. And if you haven't checked out last week's video, I really recommend you do because it'll help the concepts sink in a little bit better. So without any more interruption, let's get into the video. So let's take a look at all the components needed for our computers to function. First of all, we have the central processing unit for general processing of all of our data. Then we have the power supply unit that delivers power to our computer, and which we know electricity is crucial in our computer doing anything. Then we have the random access memory, which is like a short-term memory that's really fast for the computer. Then we have the hard disk drive or the solid state drive, which is long-term storage, which isn't quite as fast as RAM. And then there's the motherboard, which is what interconnects all these components. And then lastly, we have the graphics processing unit, which is what is responsible for all the fancy things we get to see on our screens. And sometimes it is integrated with the CPU, so you don't see a separate graphics card, as it's sometimes called, or graphics processing unit, but sometimes you do have what is called a dedicated graphics card. First, let's look at the power supply unit, or PSU for short. We know that the computer needs electricity to do anything. Well, the power supply's job is to deliver electricity, and it has a plug in the back that plugs into the wall, and then in the front it has ports to plug into the motherboard and various other of the components we'll be talking about, and gives them power. That's pretty much its only purpose. We have the central processing unit, or CPU. It's the brains of the computer. It contains electrical circuitry to carry out the instructions of a computer program. It can perform things such as basic math, logic, and control input and output operations. It often has cores. If it has 2 cores, it's called dual core. Quad core is 4 cores, and so on. And these are like mini CPUs that can act independently of each other and perform tasks at the same time. So the more cores, the better. This makes it put off a lot of heat, and it needs a heat sink, and oftentimes as a fan, and I have one down in the bottom right corner of the motherboard pictured there. Random access memory, or RAM for short, is a form of storage. It is volatile, which means it only stores data while it has electricity, and it is where your computer programs get loaded into when you run them. It is faster than hard drives, and is normally found in configurations of 4 gigabytes, 8, 16, or maybe even 32 gigabytes. It is often referred to as memory. So RAM and memory are the same thing. If someone says how much memory does your computer have, it means how much RAM does it have. And RAM is very crucial to the speed of your computer. If you don't have enough of it, it'll soon bog down your computer. Then there's the hard disk drive, or HDD. Like RAM, it's a form of storage, but unlike RAM, it is non-volatile, which means you don't lose your data when the power is turned off. So that invaluable cat picture you have on your hard drive won't get lost when you turn off your computer. It is also slower than RAM, and is commonly found in 128, 256, or 500 gigabytes, sometimes even a terabyte. When your computer says not enough disk space, this is what it's referring to. You don't have enough space on your hard drive. An SSD, on the other hand, is the same thing, same features, but is newer technology and much, much faster. This is about the size of your laptop's hard drive generally, and is often the single best upgrade you can do for your computer. But you don't need both, you just need one or the other. Then there's the graphics processing unit, or GPU. As stated in the first slide, it is sometimes integrated with the CPU, so no need for a separate card like this, although you can still use one if you want better performance. Its sole purpose is manipulating graphics and image processing. It has ports on the back to connect to your computer's monitor, so you can output to the display. Lastly, we have the motherboard, or MOVO. This is what connects everything together. It has a slot for the CPU, it has slots for the RAM, and it has a slot for the graphics card and various other devices you want to plug into it. On the back, it has some USB ports to plug in various USB devices, and also has audio in for mic and audio out for speakers and various other ports that you might need. And that is all the components that are used to make up your computer and are crucial for its functioning. So every smartphone, tablet, or other computer needs all these core components to function properly. And of course, the form factors will vary because a phone is much too small to fit a lot of these things in. but all the hardware is still the same concepts. Now, I talked about gigabytes and terabytes in this video a little bit. If you're interested, I put a chart down below to map to how many bits and bytes they equal. And to end things here, I'm going to show a little analogy just to help this all sink in a little bit better. So let's think of me as a CPU and each arm is a core, so I'm a dual core processor. This table is my RAM and this safe box is my hard drive. I have various files I have to work with. So if this is my RAM, I can quickly access these files because RAM is very fast. I can process them and do various things with them. But now let's say a program in RAM wants to see that cute cat picture I stored on my hard drive. Now I have to go to my hard drive and find where it's located until I finally can retrieve and return my cute cat picture, because who doesn't like cute cat pictures? And then I can keep on doing my thing. Now, another concept that is often misunderstood is that people think if you add more RAM, it automatically makes your computer faster. Well, let's understand why this might not always be true. So if I'm not using all the RAM I have, it's not going to speed anything up. So in this case, I have a good portion of RAM I'm not even using. Now, if I had half the table space and I was jamming full my RAM, then that's going to slow down my computer considerably, and adding more RAM might be a smart idea. But just adding RAM, if you don't even need it, that's not going to help you at all. So I hope this video was informative. If so, please give it a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, it'd sure mean a lot. And hope you stick around for the future videos.